Hello, everyone, and welcome to a special edition of the Social Discharge podcast. Here, we'll be discharging our thoughts on the summer 2021 anime that have just come out. I am Kiko589, aka Kiko. Don't speak over me. Everyone else, go ahead and introduce yourselves.
I'm Tamika likes to draw. Feel free to speak over me, I guess.
I'm Aarlon.
I'm Carkeys. I'm tired.
And I'm Matty.
All right.
Alright.
Without further ado, let's just get right into it. So the first anime we're talking about is a sequel, actually, and it is Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid S. Carkeys, what are your thoughts on that?
Yo.
Boobs.
So, this is a great time to be alive.
Why, though?
KyoAni is back, saving anime once again for the 10th time plus. And it's just as good as ever. The OP is a banger. I think we can all agree.
I haven't actually watched it. I haven't watched any of the OPs or EDs that shows I didn't see. So, I don't know.
Don't care. Didn't watch.
But what?
I didn't see it because I haven't seen the
Me
first
neither.
season, so I was like,
Yeah, it's
I'm
true.
probably not gonna get anything that's happening here, so.
But what's different so far about it compared to the first season, you think?
Well, the obvious change is the newest character. That's also kind of hard to say for an English speaker, Iruru. Which is basically the titty gremlin character. I was so interested in how they'd animate this character.
How they do it.
Because it's very much the most, I guess, degenerate part of Dragon Maid. But I don't know, it just worked out. It's just great. Dragon Maid
gives you the vibes,
amazing.
gives you the family connection.
Dragon Maid is the beautiful synthesis of heartwarming Iyashike kind of deal with otaku shit.
Ooh, spicy.
And that's why it's amazing.
Well, it appears that this anime's conversation is already over because we're going to move on to Tantei wa mo Shindeiru, which is name dropped like 3 times in the show. Anyway, Carkeys, what are your thoughts on that?
Oh man.
Wait, is this detective's already dead? I didn't memorize the chapter.
Fortunately, this podcast is still alive, but yes.
I may not be the one to talk about it because I did not like this show at all.
Why didn't you like it though?
Tell us.
When I put on the show, I don't know if anyone else here has seen Inspector, but this show kind of gave me vibe similar to that one. Like, yeah, like right down to the character design and everything. And even it being sort of like a mystery show with supernatural elements and stuff. I thought it was okay. I don't know if I would come back to it really. Though there was something like with the characters in particular where they felt very, very lifeless, mainly because of the voice acting. I don't know if anyone.
Yes, I got that, but while I was watching, I thought it was I thought it was like stiff and strange at the beginning, like stiff and strange. But the thing is, and like the conversation with like the guy in the plane, it didn't like flow well at all. It didn't feel like it was an actual conversation. But the thing is, Siesta is like pretty awkward in general, and she's very like chuny, even though she has like legit like detective skills. But like she's not the best at communicating either. So it kind of comes together like nicely in a way, but it is kind of off-putting in the beginning. But I do appreciate like.
Well, it was the beginning part was like the one part that I had hopes that might be good because it was like kind of impressive, like the detective like mind game she was doing. but then she just like undermines all of it, and she's like, actually, I planned all of this, and I didn't actually solve anything.
Yeah, she like that part, like that sort of detective mind game stuff in episode 1. Like, it wasn't like really the best, but the better part was more just how these two characters just like go back and forth between each other. I mean, lots of anime this season I watched actually have like great back and forth between the characters. So this stood out in sort of that regard, and of course he has to.
I did find it amusing how she took him as her sidekick because he attracts bad luck.
But we don't know how exactly she knows that, you know. Because why? How many episodes did you watch, by the way? Because I watched 3 episodes.
I mean, I hate the main guy.
Okay, one.
He's like, for one, he's like the most light novel protagonist guy. This girl is literally stalking him. He wants her to stop, and she keeps going, and he just puts up with it because he's like, well, it's a cute girl. I can't believe a cute girl is showering in my house.
But that conversation was pretty funny.
I mean, the one thing I found kind of weird about everything, like, he's not phased. He's barely phased to all anime protagonists.
But I mean, of course, he's not phased. He's done like so many things with this girl. Like, they slept in a hurricane. They've walked through deserts. They've traversed freaking jungles. Like, they've done a lot of stuff together. Like, how can you be phased by anything after that? After all those experiences.
And it all happened in a time skip.
It all happened in a time skip because, as he says, he says Tanto mo Shindeiru, like in episode 1, episode 2, and in episode 3, I think. Maybe just twice in episode 2. But like, those name drops are pretty funny because it's like, how on the nose can you possibly be? But it is kind of funny how you said how he's like really the most self-insert protagonist. Not just because his name is Kimi, which is the part on Anata, but it's also because the person who wrote the original story, Nigoju, they cite Ore-Imo, Ore-Gairu, and Saikano as direct influences on his writing. So it's really no surprise, I don't think, with that connection.
I did like the name Kimi.
It was funny. But he's also like pretty aware. He's aware of his like own puberty and like sort of situation. And like some stuff, like some of the self-narration, like it can be a bit much. It can be like a bit, just doesn't come off well. But other times it can be funny. For example, when he's running to get like the weapon on the plane, he says, "As a born trouble magnet, I've scraped through more scenes of carnage than the number of slices of bread I've eaten in my life." And that just like, I chuckled at that. It's like really like, it's just really funny to put those two things together. It's like, it also reminded me, of course, Dio saying how many pieces of slices of bread you ever eaten in your life. So, yeah.
Yeah, who left? Yeah, this one is kind of on the edge for me.
But like, yeah.
I feel like this will be talked about.
It is the third most viewed anime on Mao this season, which is surprising, which kind of hits me in the way because this is like my least favorite show of the ones I watched. But
I'll say going into the season, I was feeling really pessimistic. I like watching the first couple shows. I was like, man, maybe I'm just getting cynical. Like I just don't like anime anymore.
Sad.
But no, it was just the show.
Let's have faith.
I just didn't like it.
Believe in anime. Also, the guy who they talk to, Bat, he's voiced by Yoshitsugu Matsuoka, who voiced Kyoto and Sora, the blonde guy. Which you can't really tell, but I couldn't really tell that much. But yeah, like I mean, this show's very like novelty. People talk in strange ways, but Sietta's cute. She looks cute in a gun. Like a gun, standing in the pose of a gun. It's cool.
Yes.
Of course,
I did feel like at one point I was like, if only the show was just Siesta and not the main character guy.
But yes, yet
I found her annoying.
But
I thought she was rude in like a not charming.
Nah, I thought she was rude in a charming way because she has a gun. Like, it's a girl with a gun. Like, you can't go wrong with that. Come on. And but speaking of her bizarreness, all the interactions in the show are bizarre. Like not just with Siesta, but also in episode 2 and 3 with episode 2 as Nagisa, a new character, and episode 3 has this idol character called Yui. Even with them, the interactions are very weird. For example, Nagisa when she first meets Kimi, she threatens him by putting her hands in his mouth. And it's yeah, I'll touch your whatever at the back of the mouth. And it's what the heck are you doing? What is this? Who what are you doing? Even the idol character, is pretty strange. Yeah.
All right.
No, because there's so much more to talk about. I mean, there's a lot more to talk about actually, because the first episode was double length, so that was pretty. I didn't mind that whatsoever at all. In fact, it made me appreciate more how great some episodes can be by fitting things in 24 minutes.
They could have been.
It could have been more concise, but I don't know. The pace of it, I was still intrigued by this show because of how because of Siesta and Nagisa and Yui and all this stuff.
Yeah. I think the longer length definitely turned me off a little bit, just since I think the second half of episode 1 was weaker. I was feeling it was just so different than the airplane scene. The whole
but if it ended in the airplane scene, wouldn't be it could have worked as a hook actually, I think, but
it's okay. Okay, this is one of my problems with the show. Actually, is that it kind of felt to me like there's almost not even a story. It felt like just a bunch of events, unrelated events happening. And then we went to the festival, and then we traveled, and she died, and then the girl came to me and put her finger.
It's
in my
what
mouth.
the heck?
Then,
I didn't think that thought whatsoever. I was kind of intrigued by how weird all this is. And of course we have the badass redhead policewoman, Siesta jumping out of the window with Kimi in the wedding outfit, and something also
gotta put her in the wedding.
Gotta do that. Gotta get that. Gotta do it for that money, for that big cash. But in a lot of shots as well, this series, I said it felt stiff, but also feels pretty plain, especially compared to the other shows in the season. The character, there is still the animation in the plane scene, the fight scene. That was pretty impressive. I mean, maybe not impressive, creative, something experimental. Siesta jumping on the plane seats. But overall, even the
it looked pretty bad. Though.
I don't know. I enjoy.
It was a little sketchy.
It was sketchy, which kind of looked a bit nice, in my opinion.
I found the sudden
good,
increase in animation quality very jarring.
Yeah.
I mean, it was pretty clearly done by a different team. I found. But I did I came out of the airplane scene thinking, well, this is not the best, but if it's going to be like this a lot with these moments of really cool animation, I'd be okay with it. But then it didn't really deliver in the second half. I don't know about the other episodes, how they are.
I mean, it's pretty plain, still pretty kind of plain.
It seemed like they just wanted to have some Twitter clips, maybe.
It seems because it just feels very plain. The aesthetic is not that strong, but also there are a lot of shots in the 3 episodes where there's just no one in the background. It's just the characters there, and on the street. But there's no one in the background. Maybe a couple of people, but when in episode 3, Kimi and Nagisa,
budget issue.
Kimi and Nagisa that they're walking somewhere, and there's no one else. And it's not done for in a creative way. I don't know. I've seen clips Monogatari where it's done in a creative way. And it's played on with just 2 characters there. But here it doesn't feel like it at all. Here it feels like the background, so there's just something missing, just completely missing. And it kind of just feels is this a post-apocalyptic world or something? What's going on?
Maybe it's a budget issue.
budget, planning, whatever it could be. I mean, this studio, I mean, they've made Kimono Michi, they've made Uzaki-chan, and they've made Full Dive. So I don't know about those shows. And also, the director is doing this is their first main directorial role. The name's Kurihara Manabu. This is the first main directorial role for an anime as well. But speaking of staff, the music as well. The music there was some interesting music. Like like the music overall wasn't anything too special, but there were one or two tracks that stuck out in my opinion. So like there's one where there's one when Kimi and Siesta are talking in Kimi's room, which sounds like some like PS1 tennis game, which is like sounds really good to me. Just like that aesthetic, it captures that aesthetic. Like on YouTube, if you go type in like Smash Court Tennis OST, like that's kind of what it sounds like. So that was like familiar to me, and some of the piano as well is like has some interesting parts. Oh yeah, in episode 3 as well. The VTubers Fubuki and Matsui that appear, that was kind of, I don't know. I don't really care.
I saw the screenshots. I was like,
yeah,
is that
I
real?
think it's real.
I almost want to watch just that episode for that.
Yeah, with that episode is also the idol character, the Yui, who again is also pretty strange. And there's this fun conversation she has with Kimi where they're talking about she talks about like idols and like her like playing a character, and then she's like, she makes a joke that like rival idols like they're really mean. They can be really mean to each other, and like they can like play pranks on each other or put stuff in like their shoes and stuff. And then she makes a joke while getting a small gun that they'll vanish from the central stage soon after. She makes a joke that after these pranks, those idols suddenly vanish from the central stage soon after, and she goes like tee hee, and also she calls Kimi hentai-san because she makes these assumptions about him, and it's like, yeah, this that like captures this show. It's kind of bizarre, but I was still intrigued by. I don't know. I was still intrigued by it. I was wondering just what are they gonna do? How often are they gonna say Tanto mo Shindeiru? I want to have a count. Currently, it's at 3, and I mean, yeah. Given that, I don't know if you've seen episode 3, so.
Yeah, sorry.
I haven't seen beyond
first
episode.
drop of the season for me. 4 out of 10.
But is the detective really already dead?
Well, actually, bit of a spoiler, but in episode 2, there is Nagisa, and it's revealed that Nagisa's heart is Siesta's heart. So Siesta is dead, but not really, because there's this memory transference thing.
Wait a minute.
Kimi
this sounds too much
Kimi
like
theorizes.
This sounds too much like Kingdom Hearts.
Kimi theorizes that there's this memory transference thing going on because Nagisa wants to meet someone. She just has this urge to meet someone really strongly. That's why she goes up to Kimi, because she thinks he's like a legendary detective. She's just like, what do you want me, like, who is this person that I want to meet? And like, of course, it's because, not of course, but like, in the end, it's kind of assumed that, yeah, it's because she has Siesta's heart, so Siesta wants to meet Kimi. But I didn't really buy that. Like, I could deal with the like SPES, like Android, like supernatural organization. But this like memory transference thing, I couldn't. I don't know. It didn't really come off that well to me, for some reason or another. Like that didn't feel like super believable.
I mean, not to give it too much credit, but I wonder if that's like an artifact of condensing it from the light novel.
Maybe
they gave it more time.
I don't.
Oh wait, this is based on a light novel.
Yeah, it's based on a light novel.
I'm assuming, yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, Nikoju. Yep. Now I move on to Harem. Kanojo mo Kanojo.
All right.
Aarlon, what did you think of this classic?
It was interesting. I thought it was almost oddly refreshing how straightforward it is. That like so many I in general just completely hate rom-coms. I really, whenever I watch one, I can be sure I'll hate it. I hate all the dumb love triangle stuff. I hate resetting the clock every time a new harem member comes in. So, it was a little bit refreshing that he was just like, nope, I'm gonna make a harem. I'm making my poly commune or whatever.
I love the manga. It's so stupid, and that's why I love it so much. It's like I don't even know, like it's like undescribable how dumb and like rapid pace it is.
It's a show about gaslighting your girlfriend into being poly with a girl
Hell
you
yeah.
just met.
Nice.
And then the main character is like a legend among legends.
I think the girl who has a crush on him is kind of the Chad here.
Entertaining.
Although I did feel like it's a little. This is going to be like a stereotypical manga reader. It's a little worse than the manga. Doesn't have as much of that like breakneck pace, which made it fun. But it's still like
okay, manga reader.
It's still pretty fun. Although I haven't watched past episode 1, so I don't know how it goes.
But like, I'm curious because what do you think makes it different from like other harem shows?
See, like Aarlon said, it's just so straightforward. There's no dumb misunderstandings or anything. The main character is just like.
I mean, they were literally talking about having a threesome in like the first episode, so we're making good progress here.
Good to know.
He's just like, yep, I gotta be honest with you. I do want to have a threesome with you. Ah, what a great guy. Just comes out and says it. This is what Japan needs.
So wait, for a harem protagonist, I've heard it's a notorious thing where the main character guy is sort of just, he doesn't have much of a personality. He's kind of bland. So this guy, he's not bland? Question mark.
He sounds like he sounds like a big Chen.
Bland.
He has
so much personality. He's always yelling.
The shonen protagonist of harem shows.
Yeah, basically.
Honestly, yeah.
Also, disclaimer: by calling this a classic, I did not mean to degrade its status just because it's a harem. Harem shows are perfectly valid. Just saying. I have seen a couple of harem. So yeah, I understand the appeal and everything.
I will say that, like, I'm sure it's supposed to be part of the comedy, but it is insane that this man is just like, I have to date this girl after like talking to her for like a couple minutes.
Dude, that's the beauty of Kanojo. He knows what he thinks. This girl is attractive. I have to date her.
It's the most relatable main character.
Who cares if I already have a girlfriend?
He's kind of like a dog. He's got like the 5-second attention span and just gets excited at everything.
Yeah. I'm good with it, so I have nothing more to say.
I give it a strong 6.
Well,
though. I'm dropping it.
Imagine dropping any show you start watching. I don't drop any shows. They're all either I'm watching completed or on my on hold list. Which has
these I can't watch rom-coms. I'm sorry.
Well, we've got another romantic anime with Vanitas no Karte, which I like quite a bit actually. And one of the reasons why is that the two main characters, Noe, who is a vampire, and Vanitas, who is a human, both have smoking hot style. They're fabulous. Noe is dapper. Vanitas' smile is precious. He stands up on top of an airship, his head blowing in the wind, and it's beautiful. But that's not all I'd say about it.
It is a pretty show.
It is pretty because it is animated by Bones, and the director directed some seasons of Monogatari. Not all of it, but he directed some seasons of it, including Owari. And of course, the music is by Yuki Kajira, who did Tour Online, Madoka, Fate, all that stuff, and also Pandora Heart. And I mentioned Pandora Heart because the mangaka of Vanitas, Tsumo Shizuki, also wrote Pandora Heart. And you can tell that like you could deduce that they have the same author just from like the general style. But But yeah, I like the show, not just because it's pretty, but again, like I mentioned before, like this show has the interaction between Noah and Vanitas is really fun, especially when Noah like throws Vanitas around, like literally like grabs him and like throws him. Like that is genius. That is precious. And the relationship is also pretty dramatic, especially when you consider that one is a vampire and one isn't. So again, like Noah throwing Vanitas, it shows like the contrast between the physical ability and that sort of like physical superiority over the other. Like it's funny in itself.
Well, it was a little bit interesting that I felt like they didn't like play up the like vampire dichotomy
No, not
that
that
much.
much. No.
That it was almost like he was just like totally cool with like them being vampires or whatever. It's just like, yep, vampires.
Well, yeah,
Vanitas is
because
a very tolerant man.
yeah, he's a very tolerant man. He wants to save the vampires no matter what anyone says in that epic speech at the end of episode 1. It is like being also, having this being stylish, He's very, very determined in his goal. Yeah.
But he's not like a vampire fanboy
No.
either. He's just like, they're all right.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
vampires.
He's cool. But if you've seen episode 3, Vanitas we know can be very passionate. But in episode 3, he kind of does something. He kind of does something a bit iffy.
I didn't like it.
To one of the characters, and it's like, well, he can go mad with passion. And it's like, but maybe sometimes he can go too far. Like, he's not like completely sane, which clearly there's some questionable aspects to him.
Can I go into detail on this one?
Yes, you can. Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So, like Kiko said, the show is very pretty. Everyone is like looking pretty good, pretty stylish. Honestly, based on the intro, I thought this was definitely going to be a BL show because it shows just our main two guys run around just having a lovely day in Paris. Also, it has, I think, my favorite OP of the season. But episode 3, everything changes. What's his face? Vanitas is being chased down by Jean, a vampire, and he corners her and he gives her the Shirogane approved wall down method. He gets her up against the wall. What does he do? Actually, I'm not sure. He whispers sweet nothings to her, gives her a devilish little smile, and she's just flustered as can be.
And no, he outright kisses her. Yeah.
Yeah, he just starts smacking on her, and she's just like, oh, I don't know what's going on here, but I think she's kind of into it because she's blushing or something. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, like I'm curious to how we'll see like Vanitas' darker side later on, because clearly there's something not quite right with this guy.
Yeah, and then like,
and it's worth noting that the hook of the show is that he's going to die.
Yeah, that's pretty. Like I completely forgot about that until I went back to episode 1 and to look at the end. I'm like, oh yeah, actually, Noah said that, and it's like, lots of hints.
I think he's just gonna become a vampire.
That is definitely possible. Definitely possible.
They have not gone into the rules of how their vampires work, because these are definitely not your like traditional vampires. They just have all kinds of like wacky powers, and I feel like this isn't a complaint. This is more just an observation. It's very Kingdom Heartsy in how the whole like malnomen, bad name, good name,
exactly,
vampires works and stuff like that, which is like it's interesting, but it's just like kind of just like thrown in of just like, oh yeah, vampires can get curses and then they go crazy and stuff like that. It's like, hold on, what's going on here? I would like some idea of what's going on, you know?
Well, I don't know. I still found those little lore tidbits like interesting, and like just how they connect with like the setting, because like sort of in futuristic a little bit. Like it's like very like, I mean, I'm gonna take a wild guess and say Victorian, but like there's airships and like I mean, yeah, there's the airships are the main thing. When Noe is with the woman and he goes to the window, and then all of a sudden it shows him in an airship. I was like, oh shit! Like I did not see that coming whatsoever.
Yeah, no, that was cool. We didn't really see much more advanced technology until the end of episode 3, but I'm really like hoping that we can see like more of like what are they doing with this?
Yeah, exactly. When Vanitas, goes to like the parallel world of the vampires, Atlas Paris. Yeah, like I like the world building as well. I like the world building in general. Also, like Noe's backstory, like getting glimpses of that. You clearly see that he has trauma from someone he likes being executed for having a corrupted name. Then he kicks the table, which is really cool, really badass. And yeah, being able to look into he can look into people's memories through their blood, which is part of his clan's power. That's an interesting way, except he has to bite the person, but yeah. And overall, just I mentioned it was animated by Bones, and it shows because like they have a lot of cool effects, like the magical lightning,
Very
blue, and also just some visuals like the shadows, the black eyes, the tears of hell when the woman is getting corrupted. Like it's pretty intense scene actually. Like she's crying, like it's black tears. And she can see, and then later on, she remembers seeing this parade and then getting literally her head eaten by something. And it's like the show can go into horrifics like when it wants to.
I don't know.
It's definitely getting carried by the visuals.
Nah. I think the relationship between
like the story is fine. I'm just saying the visuals are like by far the best part.
I think the visuals, animation, and the relationship between the two main characters are definitely the best parts of the show. Yeah, which I like a lot. So, like I do like the show like a bit. I do like the show like a considerable level more than Tantei, for example.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good. I haven't seen it, but
fun facts about the voice actors. So, Noe is voiced by Kaito Ishikawa, who did Tenya in My Hero and Genos in One Punch Man. And Vanitas is voiced by Natsuki Hanae, who did Kosei from Shigatsu, Kaneki from Tokyo Ghoul, and Inoho from Out No Zero. So that's pretty fun. You can hear the Kaneki in his voice, I think.
The show is pretty cool. I give it a light 7 for now, and
I don't rate shows until I finish them. But yeah, next up.
Oh wait, hold on. Let me say my score. I don't like the show. I'm giving it a 4 out of 10. That's all.
Why don't you like Vanitas no Karte? Why not? How can you not?
I'm not really crazy about the story. I don't like the characters because I don't understand their motivations yet, and I don't like if I can't like get a grip on them like early on. Maybe if I keep watching, I'll start to like get a feel of it.
I imagine some of that stuff would come in on later episodes.
Maybe, but like I like a good, strong first episode, and I feel like the first episode it like started out like pretty interesting, like starting on the airship and then getting in the vampire fight. But I don't know, I wasn't like completely sold on it. So then I like continued on through into episode 2 to see where the plot was going. It's just like, and it's just the pacing feels weird. The characters feel weird. They reused the same. It was a really good animation for how Vanitas activates the book, but they used the same animation in episode 1 and in episode 2.
Yeah, so what?
Digimon.
So what? That's cool. It's cool. I like seeing the same thing, the same animation. Because it's like, yeah, I want to see that magic lightning, like.
Weren't you in the Utna group?
I've watched it. I've watched it.
Utna has like it has the same 3 animations every episode. And that's the best part too.
Patterns equal neuron activation.
Look, if it's an old show or if they save it for like super dramatic moments, that's cool. But it's like when can he open the book and when can he not? Because it's like if all he has to do is just like open the book and it's like boom, I've cured you. Where's the weight in that? Where are the stakes? I need rules.
So you're saying that old anime has soul and this doesn't have soul?
No, I think it has soul.
Well, of course.
It's just other than
we've already established that in general, old good, new bad.
No. There's at least one good new show, I think. I don't know.
Reminder to the audience, go watch the first episode of the Social Discharge podcast where we discuss that very topic, old media versus new media. Now let's continue with this.
Mm-hmm.
But about the first episode, I think the first episode, like you liked a good, strong first episode, but the first episode like sells the art animation and relationship between the two, which is the strongest part of the show. So that kind of counts as being it's not a fantastic first episode, but it is very good, I think.
Yeah, it was good. The fight choreography right at the beginning when they get into it was like pretty good. their dynamic is like interesting to see how it starts.
Am I wrong for assuming that this show is gonna go in the direction of a yaoi pairing?
I don't think so.
I can't tell. I'm confused as to the third episode.
It doesn't feel like it.
I think it's just yaoi bait. I think.
Oh,
They're not gonna do anything.
They bait it, but they don't do it. Most people are gonna be mad. Well, I know people are gonna ship them anyway. That's definitely happening.
Of course, it happened like from the first key visual, like, of course, which is fine. Like, yeah, I mean, they could definitely be gay for each other eventually. I mean, at this moment, I don't think so.
I don't know.
Anyway,
next show.
Unless you have something else to say.
I was just say Vanitas does look kind of similar to Noe's childhood friend.
Good point. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
But we won't have to wait and see for Bokutachi no Remake. Aarlon, what'd you think of Bokutachi no Remake?
It was... I'm curious what you all thought of it, because I actually liked this show. It was... The first episode was super long. It was like an hour, right?
The first episode, especially the first couple of minutes of this, were very depressing because they remind me of myself being
same. And I mean, the message of this show might not be the best, because like the first episode, this whole opening section is like way longer than it needed to be, I think. But this guy, like, he had a shit life or whatever. He was like an accountant or something, even though he didn't want to be. But then he changed his ways, and like he became a game dev and stuff. And he got his big break, and then it all fell apart. And he's like, I guess no matter what I do, I'm just doomed to have a shit life. I cannot change. And then he goes back in time. I mean, I don't know. It's just really, it's just depressing. It seems like a bad message to send to people, because it's like, it kind of feels like they're just saying, like, you know, well, if you chose the wrong path, you can't go back in time, so like, just kill yourself.
Wait, okay. Why do you mention suicide?
Well, there was he did think that one chick was gonna kill herself in the first episode. I don't know, it just seems like they're just like throwing up their hands and saying like, yeah, his life sucks and there's nothing he can do, so he's just gonna go back in time.
But there are other stories like it though, like Real Life, for example.
Yeah, but I don't want to be too down on this show because I actually liked it a lot. Because like once he goes back in time, he goes to like the art school he always wanted to go to, and it's like they set up this early in the episode. What are they called? Like the Poggers generation or whatever. That like it's like these artists that and creatives that they like present them as like almost like mythical figures. Like they're always like silhouetted and cool looking. I thought it really added to it that he's like, oh, like it could be anyone at the school. I could be talking to them right now.
Okay, so what?
And he is, as it turns out.
Okay, so what if? Okay. Sorry. What if the show goes the route where, like, even going this art school thing, he still ends up like dissatisfied and feeling like a failure? He's just like, I don't know what to do with my life, and it ends up being like this whole lesson of like, man, it's not like what you do that matters. It's who you do it with, and he ends up having friends, so he doesn't want to like be sad and travel 10 years back in time again.
Well, it is kind of like another thing I like about this show is it is kind of like the looming question over the first couple of episodes is like, do I even belong here? Like all these other people are so talented, and even with like all this experience I have, I still feel like I kind of suck compared to them.
Yeah, that does seem like it's going to be a major theme. Like even before going back in time, he felt like he was in the presence of his boss girl. and
Yeah,
almost not worthy of that job.
but he was worthy. He was a good boy.
Yeah, someone mentioned real
Yep.
life. I do think this is kind of retreading that setup.
It's better
worse.
than real life, though.
I think
Okay,
it's worse.
why do you two think what you think?
But I think that just comes down to I like the characters in real life way more. None of the characters in this show really grabbed me, especially with a double length episode. You thought I'd think they would by then, but
well, I'm biased against real life because I think it's a bad rom-com that goes on for literally ever and never treads or never makes any new ground.
yeah, that's true.
This show, like, I'm not gonna say like the characters are like the best or anything, but I really like the whole like situation they put this guy in. I like I like the presence of the like, ooh, I could be meeting these legendary artists and the looming questions and all that. It's just really it's got a vibe to it. It's like not spooky, it's like spooky melancholy.
Yeah, I'll be interested in seeing how they handles it going forward. I also couldn't help but compare it to Sakura So. The Pet Girl of Sakura So is the English title. And also the theme of being next to great artists, I guess, and being inferior. So in my mind, it just felt like an inferior version of two other shows I like, which I couldn't get over.
For the record, this one is like, it really depends where they go with it, right?
Yeah.
It could be that like by next episode I'll have like flipped my opinion on it and I hate it now. But for the time being, I thought it was quite good.
Anything else to say?
I think that's my thoughts. I give it a 7.
Well, then we move on
to
Genjitsu Shugi Yuusha no Oukoku Saikenki, or How a Realist Hero Rebuilt the Kingdom. Kakis, what did you think of this isekai adventure?
Well, before I talk about this, I was just looking on Mal, and apparently this is directed by Takashi Watanabe, which is a very prolific director. Directed an episode of Utena.
Yeah, they've directed Takashi Watanabe. He directed the original Slayers, the original Boogie Pop anime, Shakugan no Shana, Freezing, Heavy Object, and then Taboo Tattoo, Ikitosen, and others. So the original Boogie Pop director comes to direct this show. That is
interesting.
This show, it feels like two different things to me. On one, it's like a very generic isekai, which is just like there's a billion isekai every season. But there's something to this show that I don't know. It interested me, like in a way that most isekai don't. It's basically about a guy who gets summoned to save a kingdom from ruin, and he's like, all right, well, if I'm gonna save the day, be the hero, instead of fighting the demon lord, let's work on the finances of the kingdom. How about that? I don't know. It's a very interesting setup, I guess.
And how many episodes did you watch?
I just watched the one, so it might change. I don't know.
I watched everything that was out so far. It almost gave me like Dr. Stone vibes. That's like scratching that same itch of like taking something and building something from nothing, basically.
Yeah, there seems to be a new breed of isekai that's like the progression focused almost. So like Dr. Stone, and then the slime isekai is another one. So this is kind of fitting to that mold, and in comparison with other shows of a similar setup, it's maybe not the best. Other shows have done this kind of thing better, but this still had some interesting aspects. Like, I liked the royal families in the show. It's really interesting. They basically just gave him the king in the first episode,
he using facts and logic. He debated the king and owned him so hard that he just abdicated the throne on the spot.
That is
Yeah,
definitely funny. But I think it's also interesting how when his daughter Licia like goes to him at first, and she like questions him about it, and he's like, "Yeah, like as the king, I thought he was a better ruler, and I abdicated to him, and I won't have any arguments about it." So he is kind of like sure. He like beforehand he is kind of like indecisive and like kind of weak, but about this he's pretty sure. Like yeah, like he deserves to be king. Like don't argue with me about it. So that I thought
yeah, that's what I found.
He's a chill guy.
Yeah, it's like I thought it was going to be all right. The king is weak. Let's we got to get rid of him, and then the main character can step in. But it's not that the king is super weak. It's that he genuinely cares about the kingdom, and he's decided that this hero is a better ruler for what we need done. So like, oh, that's actually like pretty interesting. Actually,
and
pretty
he
refreshing.
Really likes having his ears
definitely.
cleaned.
But his wife is pretty suspicious. Like she just smiles, bows, and it's like, what's up with her?
Oh yeah, they're definitely setting some stuff up with that.
Definitely.
That'll be fun.
I didn't really think much about that.
But fun fact, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I wouldn't say this is like a great show, but it's enough to keep me watching at least for a few more episodes.
It's a good show.
Yeah, I actually quite like this actually.
It's the plot of it is basically, high schoolers have it easier in another life, and plenty of other shows with a similar kind of, thing, where it's like, oh, the country's economy is completely fucked, but we're gonna have this genius 18-year-old come in, and he's somehow more competent than literally everyone that works at the government in that world.
Oh, that was something I really liked about this character, is that he wanted to be, what was it, like a city planner or something like that. That's
it was just a civil servant thing.
Yeah, a civil servant. He wanted to be a civil servant. And it's like, yeah, I'm into that. Like, yeah, small local government.
Also, if I remember correctly, sorry.
One of the first things I thought of when I watched this show is this kind of just seems like the average college student's wet dream. Like, the ones who are always whining about how trash the government is. Like, man, if I could get in there, I could fix everything, because everyone else that's already in there is incompetent as fuck. So, that's one of the first.
Yeah, I like how he just wanted to replace everyone, but also he did it in a way where he channeled his pride for one of his for like a Chinese hero, Chinese warlord, or whatever. And he made the speech. He made the speech that he made, and like we got a little history lesson with it. And he was very passionate. He was getting really into the role, especially like even when he like names his magic power. He's like, yeah, I'm being a bit chuny. Well, yeah, he's getting into it. He starts caring about even the king's daughter. Like he starts caring about her. Like I'll leave and I'll have to teach you stuff to be so that you can rule the kingdom at some point. And in general, I also found it pretty funny at times. Like they're like, yeah, we're in deep trouble, so let's just like summon a hero and just do it. And it's like, okay, let's summon a hero. And then they summon him, and they're like, I can't believe we actually summoned one. Everything is worth trying at least once. And I was like, that's just really funny.
Yep,
that was pretty funny. Yeah.
I found it kind of funny how like when the guy was summoned into the new world, he was just like mildly annoyed. Not even like what the fuck is going on? Where am I? He's just like, I don't like the fact that you guys just like summoned me here without my permission.
Yeah, and the king
wanted to talk.
And the king's like king's like, yeah, from your point of view, yeah, it could be seen that way. It's just like,
like for a second there, I thought like he was like from there and he had left at one point. That's how it came across to me. It didn't even seem like he was new to the
Nah.
world. That's how casual he was about it.
casual. I mean, he was entertained by it. So, but speaking of that scene, I like the epic music with when doing the summoning, and he's just like walking in the library. But there's like this epic music, so like the contrast of him just walking normally, this epic music, that was also pretty funny. And also, just speaking of the music in general, this show has some good music. Like there's the epic music as well when he announces his like grand plan in front of the king, when he wants to lead the revolution to the new age, when he gets into the role. But also when like Alicia when Alicia enters the room and they start talking for the first time, and they're finishing the conversation, and then they sit back down on the couch. Also, when he explains the magic power, like some scenes, like some parts of that song, they really sound like Ace Attorney soundtrack at some parts. Like it reminds me of like a trial starting music, like even like the lower parts sound exactly like an Ace Attorney track. So like I was like jamming like my head, moving back and forth, literally. Like there's also some like interesting like 3D camera and movements. Like the camera sometimes like does this like 3D thing. I think it's okay. Like
they do that quite a bit. They really wanted to flex that they could do that.
It's impressive.
But I like how is magic power as well. It's not like I was feeling that it'd be like, oh no, he's gonna use the magic power to like cheat it a bit, cheat the system a bit, and like shortcut things. But this magic power is just like it's just a time saver, an exposition tool. So it doesn't like interfere really with anything. So I was relieved with that, that part of it.
It just lets him do lots of.
It just lets him do paperwork. So like it doesn't matter. Like you can still apply like the show's principles to. You can still apply like the show's principles, and like it just takes less time to do it. But yeah, without his power, it'd take longer. But the same point is still made. Like with what he's doing, he'll change this world for the better, using basic economics and through combating tax fraud. I like specifically mentioning tax fraud as well. That was really funny. And he doesn't discriminate. He's like, if you have aptitude, we'll get it. Doesn't matter what you're from, where you're from, what race you are, your background, just come to us.
You know, one thing that I found kind of amusing was how like the last line of dialogue, the last couple of lines of dialogue in the first episode just felt like direct callouts to like real life governments. Like, hey, you know that if you keep on putting more money into the military, instead of like towards the people are gonna grow resentful of you and try and take over and overthrow you. And the first thing I immediately thought of was the United States.
Of course. But yeah, like stuff like that as well. Like.
And that's why, even though you guys made fun of me for saying it, I still think you guys should take this anime to Congress.
Yeah, like there's something. The main character, he said, the point is, even if we build a military, if we neglect all our domestic problems, it won't mean anything. So I was like, is he Bernie Sanders here? Like, that's like something he'd say exactly. Like we can't spend so much on the military. Like we have to focus on all these other problems. And it's like, yeah, like I can get behind this guy. And like I appreciate I don't appreciate it, but like I can see like, you know, the royal family doesn't like know things. Like they don't like think about, oh, the written exam isn't a good like test to get people because a lot of people can't read or write. So having a written exam really discriminates like 70% of the population. And also how like Alicia wants to be like idealistic and like, you know, believe that people love the country, but then he's just like, well, in the long run, people with empty bellies have neither morals nor patriotism, and she just like gets unsheltered. Her mind expands, like, but also like, you know, her talking about mind expanding, like him talking to the dark elf about like thinning the forest, and she's like, oh my gosh, like this wisdom is like mind-blowing.
No one is going to be patriotic towards a country just for the sake of it. The country actually has to be
exactly
like, treating its citizens
like
well.
This is like Marie Antoinette like things, like, you know. But I guess show quite a bit actually. Just also the interactions between the two main characters as well. Like I love interactions between two main characters. Just a random example comes to my head, like Samurai Flamenco, the first episode. It's mainly just a lot of it's just two main characters just like talking, but like I like that kind of stuff. And yeah, good. I like both the OP and ED as well. The OP, hello, yes, like it rings in my head a lot. And yeah, there are like a bunch of like little things as well I could point out, like to talk. But yeah, I'm satisfied with what I've said so far.
I give it a 7.
I give it high at the moment. I like apart from like I still like Tantei, like so, I still kind of like Tantei, but I like the other shows I watched like pretty well, like just all of them, like which I wasn't really expecting, but I'm glad it happened. Anyway, next on the list is Seirei Gensouki. I don't know the English translation of this. Tamika, what were your thoughts on that?
Wait, which one is this one? I only memorized the English
The main
names.
character gets hit. The main character's in a bus, and the bus goes into the train tracks, and the train hits the bus, and he dies.
Oh, you've heard of Truck-kun. Now get ready for Train-kun. I thought it was okay. To be honest, I don't really remember much about that one. I don't even think I took notes for it. But it was okay, I guess. I'm trying to remember, but I don't really remember anything about it.
I remember the show, and it really aggravated me. I did not like the show at all.
What's the source of your anger? Tell us. Shout it out.
So, like, I really don't like plot points based on misunderstandings. And the entire first episode was like, there was a misunderstanding. Now you will get tortured and die, pretty much. And the whole isekai point didn't matter literally at all. It was like barely mentioned past the first 5 minutes. So like, why is this even isekai? He could just be a poor boy.
Like his actual self sort of like fades away into his consciousness, but then at the same time, the reason, like when he activates his powers, he activates sort of like the hand-to-hand combat he learned while he was in the real world. Like when he first fights, you can sort of see like this projection of his real world self behind him when he first fights that guy who breaks into the house that he lives in.
Okay, that's reasonable.
I'm assuming that's the implication there, is that he's using, like, he's pulling into combat. I mean, they do show him, I think, if I remember correctly, they do show him learning how to fight in the real world, so.
It did seem kind of like they just needed an excuse for him to be powerful.
Yeah. Well,
but, I mean, that's also can be okay if it's a good show.
I don't think real world hand-to-hand combat would really get you far in a world full of magic and stuff, but he'll probably learn like magic himself and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't have much to say about this except it made me mad because it was all just misunderstandings.
Like the part where he saved, where he found the girl in the little barrel or whatever.
Yeah,
and they just assume he kidnapped.
And yeah, then, he's carrying the girl towards you. Like, why would he do that if he kidnapped her?
And the other girl wouldn't let him explain, like, at all. Like,
yeah,
just like, no, I don't believe you at all. Yeah, she was kind of annoying.
Yep, I have nothing else to say. 2 out of 10.
Wow, that's pretty harsh. But we've got.
Watch.
What do you think we should watch instead?
Watch Ascendance of a Bookworm instead. That's the same premise, but a good show.
Well then, after that, we'll go into something kind of special, and that's Sonny Boy. Matty, what did you make of Sonny Boy?
Man. Sonny Boy, it's good. So I don't understand it, but I like it a lot. It's really cool. I guess. How much do we want? I guess we go and just I mean,
only one episode's out, so
I
we just go
prefer we
to episode 1.
don't go into spoilers.
I don't. It's cool going in blind because the way the show like carries out its episode is like there's like no over the top narration. I don't think this counts as spoiler. Like everything is like given diegetically, so like you're just dropped into the situation just like the characters, and as they're like talking through and like trying to figure things out, you're just like given that information as well. So it never feels like exposition heavy, except for like the one moment where like one of the kids is like being like a scientist nerd just trying to like solve things. But even then, it's like presented in a way where like it's like entertaining to watch.
I think we can go into spoilers. We just put a spoiler tag on the thing.
I mean, but naturally,
it's just the one
going to be
episode, right?
spoilers about any of the episodes shows we talk about. So.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. So, yeah, I liked it. I don't think I like connected like so much, but I did like it overall as an episode.
I thought it was interesting.
I really like the art, especially after watching so many isekai.
Yeah, the art style is pretty interesting. Like it can be off-putting.
It's very like crisp.
Yeah, it's crisp. Also, was there like any music at all? There was one track.
Oh, that was the best part of the entire episode, in my opinion. There was no music.
It really makes the setting feel less
There was
empty.
no music the entire episode.
Except at the end.
Except the very end when they break out.
That of course. That was the void part. Like just a void. And it's just like, yeah, there's nothing. It's just the tension of the characters talking, and there's nothing to like, cushion it. Just like gives it to you. Gives it to you straight. But this is directed by Natsume Shingo, who directed One Punch Man anime and Arc 13. It's animated by. It's also written by him. It's animated by Madhouse. Well, Madhouse isn't the Madhouse of old, but it's interesting that Madhouse is the name attached to it. But this is clear. I think this is not clearly, but this is sort of about society and breaking free from like the system of society, like the girl constantly does. She doesn't want to have a smartphone. She finds a way. She tries to find a way out. She doesn't obey. Like that's clearly something about the show.
The funny thing, I was actually I was of two minds about the message that the show was trying to get across. On the one hand, obviously we don't want anything like dictatorships or anything like what we saw in the show if we were ever to form society with rules and leadership and stuff like that. And on the other hand, I was kind of like, having a society with rules is not a bad thing. You just need to make sure the people that are running the society, just aren't assholes. So
I would be reserved to make any claims about what the themes really are at this point. Like it seems like it's giving us a really bad governmental system, and then the main character is not the main character, the girl is flat out rejecting it. So it seems like maybe it's going to come to some sort of medium later down the line.
I feel like the girl isn't really given as necessarily like the voice of reason, because in the flashbacks we see it seems like she's got like her own like baggage and stuff she's dealing with.
Yeah, and just
there's also definitely some theme of like adolescence.
Yeah, clearly, because the science guy he says we really might be adrift in here, and that to me that was like pretty obvious what he trying to mean. It's like
they're also all notably seniors.
Exactly. So it's clearly something about transitioning into adulthood and being sort of adrift in this thing, and then they cause to be in a void due to a storm. So this storm is basically like the opportunity to change like some part of like the system that they're in, and it's up to them to take advantage of it. But when they sort of kind of don't and things fall into disarray, the school just sinks faster, and it's up to the girl to find a way out.
I mean, it is not surprising at all that in an attempt to make a society, high school students were massively incompetent at doing
of course, there's a bunch of stories about, of course, Grave, Lord Flies. Infinite Rivals, yeah, those kinds of media. But just talking about like the animation, just in general, there was a cool scene where like the superpower trio, they confront Hoshi, who's the real leader, and like the school like moves around, and then Hoshi like disappears and reappears, and that's kind of neat.
Yeah, I really like the way the powers
presented really well. Also, the glass breaking power, like the effect of the screen.
I wonder if that's going to be explained.
Oh, I hope not. I hope it's just a cool animation trick.
No,
I mean, obviously they're going to explain what it is, but
I mean, like, suddenly we're in a new world, and now we have superpowers.
I mean, it doesn't have to be explained. I mean, I guess just how characters deal with like this thing. Like, you know, people get more prideful because they have power, but then the student council president, who is voiced by Yuki, by the way, she tells the guy like, you just got this like power just like that. Like, it doesn't have anything to do with your self-worth. Yeah, I found that was pretty interesting, just in terms of like the themes. But the one thing I have to mention, the chilling scene when Hoshi demonstrates something to all the kids. And I was like, holy shit, who is he really?
Yeah, he knows more than he lets on, to say the least.
He's the guy with the star on his face, right? Yeah, he just seemed like something was up with him from the very beginning. Just because they keep on animating him kind of with like this kind of crazy
his eyes, like Noah's eyes as well. The eyes thing, Noah's eyes really memorable. This guy's eyes are memorable too. But
and even at the end when like everyone escapes the void, he kind of has like that look on his face. I wonder if he's behind the whole thing. I don't know.
Maybe I was misinterpreting this, but he almost seemed like mad that they escaped.
Yeah, it seemed like he was mad. Yeah,
because he was in control.
He's trying to enforce something, and then the girl's like, no. But anyway, I'm looking forward to the curious things that Natsu Shingo will pull out on us.
See, at the ending of the first episode, I was wondering if they went back to the real world where they're from, or if they're in another alternate reality. I'm assuming that's something that'll be explained in episode 2. I don't know.
Let's see.
I would think thematically it's a new world because it's like going into adulthood. You know, it's a whole new world to explore. But we'll see.
Yeah.
Next on the list is Peach Boy Riverside. Now, I like this show. Fun facts: the manga was the original story is done by Cool Kyoshinja, who is also behind Maid Dragon and I Can't Understand What My Husband Is Saying. The anime is directed by Shigeru Ueda, who also directed Gekidol from Winter, and Gekidol was quite something. And the curious thing about this show is that it doesn't start from the beginning of the manga. It starts from later on in the manga. So I don't know. The first 3 episodes are kind of like sequential. They come after one and the other. But I don't know about like what happened in the later episodes. So I'm expecting this director to pull some neat trick. I mean, he's also doing a neat trick here. But I think starting it with Sally, our main character, the blonde, who has some knockers as well. Just meeting Frau on the floor. I think starting at that point was no problem at all. Like, the only thing you kind of don't see is that you don't see her first meeting with the androgynous character, the other Oni Slayer, Mikoto. You just don't like see that happening. But I think it was fine to start it there to introduce like this theme of Sally wanting to bridge the gaps between humans, demi-humans, and Onis. I think it worked. And yeah, the first episode had a decent hook. I mean, it was predictable if you know like what the premise of like the show is and how Sally, you know, that she has like powers that, you know, at the end she'll activate the powers. But that was a good like. Doesn't really matter. It was predictable to me because it was badass. Frau, the bunny, is also badass. Frau is awesome. She kicks ass with her legs. She slays it. She doesn't only just by kicking it twice. Stands epically on its corpse. says thank you to the village lord and changes their minds maybe slightly about demi-humans. Eats carrots, is very cute. Sai's also cute. I like the cat designs in general, like especially when they're up close, like on their faces. I don't know why. It's like they have just a clean look to them that I enjoy.
Yeah. I don't know. I felt like this show wasn't. I feel like it was still a bit of a been there, done that kind of thing. Like, there wasn't much that felt special about it for me, really. I mean, I suppose I'll probably see the other episodes to see where it goes, but it kind of felt like every other fantasy show to me. I was about to say fantasy. It kind of felt like every other
okay, but what other fantasy show has one of the characters stand up to an Oni, and he baits her into firing her eye cannon, and she's worrying about if he'll dodge or not, and then he stabs his own foot with his sword and is like, here you go, I can't dodge like this, so go ahead. What a fantasy show has that?
Wait, what
episode 2?
I have not seen that.
Mikoto stabs his foot with his sword and he's like, I can't dodge it now, so you can go ahead. And it's like based. That's base character right there. And he doesn't give.
I will say I found it kind of funny how that one character's drawback is that when they use their power, they turn into a lolly.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. Then she grows steadily. Yeah.
So I've only seen the first episode. Yeah. Based on the other two, I noticed on the first it was almost kind of like chill. Like there was some pretty violent scenes, but for a lot of it was just kind of wandering around.
Yeah. I actually wasn't expecting it to be that. I wasn't expecting it to be that graphic. Actually.
Yeah, which might be kind of the point, right?
Maybe.
Like the contrast.
But
so was it like that in the other two episodes where it's like for the most part pretty relaxed?
Yeah, most part pretty relaxed. Like not as graphic as the set scene with the giant Oni. But when he cut them in
the what
set
scene?
is the name of the Oni that Sally slays. Yeah.
Oh. I heard you say. I thought you said something else entirely.
When he slices the bodies in half and like squishes that one guy, the blood and like you see the bodies in half. I was like, I verbally said, yeah, like I want some edge. Give me that. I'm tired. I like my cute girl singing. I like my Vanitas Noe vibing. I like my shonen that can be violent but not so violent. But then you just get this, and it's like, yes, I want this. Give me some of that. I need this in this season. I need a tinge of it in my life at this moment. I'm like, yes, I'm down with this. And also Sally going crazy, invoking the story of Momotaro, which is a classic Japanese story about the Peach Boy. It was kind of interesting to include that, which explains the title. I wonder what the inspiration for including that specific story was. But yeah, like talking about the edge, like Mikoto doesn't care about saving humans or whatever. He just wants to kill the Onis, and I'm like, yeah, I can get behind him. Like, he just wants to kill the Onis. And even when the other Oni, who's called Carrots, by the way, apparently, even when she turns into a kid, like he still kicks her, and I'm like, damn, like this guy does not care.
Yeah.
And yeah,
I will be continuing this one
for sure. And just like his interaction with his dog, it's like, yeah, you didn't kill her because you saw some of her in you, and then he's just like, Miko's just like, well, then you didn't do anything. If you're hungry, go on and eat grass. Like, it looks tasty, doesn't it? And like, yeah, that's pretty funny. Just the exchange between all the characters as well. Even the other kid, Giusolino, who's very cute, I think. Having these contrasting characters. This ragtag team. I like the trope of a ragtag team. Like, for example, in like the Tales series, like Tales of Berseria. Like sort of the same kind of concept. Here we have a ragtag team of an Oni power, blessed princess, a badass demi-human rabbit, a chivalrous god, and a feisty Oni that's lost her powers. Just like this band of misfits that sort of come together. I like that a lot. And also sort of just like these traditional images. Like we have a sister, like a priestly sister, Amelia, who also does like martial arts. Like I like these like breaking of these like traditional images, these traditional like character types. Just they're all over in anime, but that's part of why I like anime. Like it kind of twists these like personalities a lot.
Yeah, that seems like something that Cool Kid is into in general, like a ragtag team or like a non-traditional
Kobayashi,
kind of
exactly.
pairing. Also with
yeah, exactly.
What I've been saying.
Yeah, this is badass. It's good music. OP is a banger.
I did like the music. Yeah,
OP is a banger, and yeah, very cool. And so next is Mahouka Koukou no Yuutousei. Tamika, do you remember the show?
Yeah, I just checked on Mao just to be sure. Okay, so from what I understand, this show is well, not a sequel, but sort of like part of another show called The Irregular of High School. But this time the show it takes place during the same time period, but this time it's from the sister's perspective. The Irregular of High School is from the brother's perspective. I have not seen The Irregular of High School. I don't think any of us have actually. Has anyone seen that show?
Nope.
Yeah. I don't know. To be honest, the whole time I was just thinking to myself, geez, I hope these two are not blood related. Like the whole time, the sister was fawning over the brother. Was like, please don't be blood related. Please don't be blood related. Please don't be blood related.
Because here we go again. Here we go again.
This was
the resident incestator.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm all for blood related incest, but this show was just weird. It was like the first scene. It was like, all right, this is going to be maybe a little bit generic, but like a action show, and then like magic powers and everything, and then like for the first a good half of the episode at least, they just go on a date, and she's fawning over the brother for the entire time. Like, what does this have to do with anything you just showed me?
Well, it should be worth pointing out that the original show that this is based on is, I'm pretty sure it is a harem, and she's one of the girls in the harem. So,
Yeah, maybe I was missing some context.
I don't know. I guess there's some interesting stuff there. Like, I'm wondering what the deal with the aunt is. Like, what's her whole deal? Also, I find it kind of. I was slightly amused by the fact that they got caught on tape, and like, the aunt is like, we need to start purging all these videos off of the internet, and I'm kind of just like, do you not understand how the internet works? That's literally impossible. What goes on the internet stays on the internet. The action scene towards the end. Actually, one thing I did like about the action scene towards the end was the fact that the sister beat the guy on her own. I was expecting the brother to come in and save her, but that's not what happened. She actually beat him on her own. It's not that big of a deal, but it's something I liked at least.
Yeah, I was pretty thoroughly bored by that point, so I guess I didn't notice much.
Yeah, there isn't really much to say about this show, to be honest.
Yeah, it's nothing much.
It kind of just seems like a generic magical high school show. I don't know. Maybe the original is better. I mean, it has its fans enough to warrant this spin-off. So, I don't know.
Yep. All right, I have to go. Just want to let everyone know that Kageki Shoujo is great. You should watch that. And goodbye.
That's so sad because in contrast with the show we just talked about, there's much to say about Love Live Superstar, which I've already said in my first episode analysis video, which you should check my channel out to watch. So Aarlon, I'm
I
curious.
can't believe he missed Love
Aarlon,
Live.
I'm curious. What did you think? Because I was sad that Kyle left now, because he had a very interesting opinion, because he thought that another series was better. The Nijikasaki, the series came before this, the spin-off came before it, was better than this. So I wanted to hear his take. But what's your take on this? I think it's your first Love Live series. Yeah.
Yeah, I've never seen a Love Live show. I knew nothing about it going in. I would say of all the shows I watched this season, this was my favorite. I'll just say right away, I'd give it an 8 so far.
Okay, I give the
I have a lot of thoughts on it, but go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I sat down and like made a whole video about like why the first episode was great. So I give it personally the first episode like a 9.5 or 10, like at least 9.5. Like it added so much in it, and unfortunately, like I think it really shows like the strength of like if you do these big franchises as well, because the first episode has like stuff that I've said like that you just get more out of it if you've seen the other series, and you see all the parallels, similarities, and differences. But yeah, even I watched episode 2 as well. Episode 2 was also good. Though episode 1 I thought was one of the stronger first episodes. Like I think it could be the best first episode of a Love Life series. Maybe Sunshine beats it in the first episode department. The second episode was good, though I think the second episode actually was maybe the weakest second episode in the whole franchise, but I still liked it. But yeah, I'm more curious about what you have to say.
So it was, so the first episode, I'm trying to remember what'll happen. For one, they did a really good job of just introducing like the characters and like the character conflict. I love both of the main characters so far. I vibe super hard with the main girl's like anxiety about singing and stuff. And I thought the other girl, the way she like was coming on like super strong was cute and funny. The song where she's singing on her way to school was excellent.
Of course, she's great at singing. Even episode 2, like she sings at the beginning of the episode, and like her voice is just like incredible, like perfect.
It also this is like a bit of a tangent, but it also did get me thinking about like it's kind of interesting that like musical anime aren't really a thing. But there are anime about like performances, but like this was like the closest I think I've seen to like a song in an anime where it's just like a character singing about how they feel, not for like other people.
Actually, that's great to point out, because that's kind of that's one thing that like stuck out to me just from even just when I started watching this franchise, like that kind of thing. Though here it's very clear that it's done like while she's singing, while she's jogging. Like it's not like it's not like something at the end of the episode. Like this is just like during the episode. So yeah, Love Life does that. Like that stuck out to me as well.
And I am a sucker for musicals, so that like they like instantly won me over with that. I got excited right away.
I'm trying to not I'm trying to be more neutral, but I mean I could talk about this all day. But yeah, even
get all your thoughts out.
I could talk about this all day. We don't have time for that. Talk about it all day. But yeah, I mean, episode 2, it had focus on the feet, running. Had the faces are still great. Some communism
really
in there. They're like club activity should always be equal and fair. We don't want to be oppressed by this privileged person. Want freedom. Excellent.
Oh, by the way, they did such a good job making the like whatever elitist class president or whatever chick. They did such a good job making her just they really made me hate her. I was like, something about it really just it resonated with me. I was like, oh, stop gatekeeping. Ah, no gatekeeping.
But in the Yeah, because in this, it's funny because in the other shows, it's gotten sort of progressively shorter to get the student council president on their side. And here in episode 2, like they go to like the school director, and the director like understands what's happening, and she's like, "You understand, Ren, that like we can't ban them from doing whatever they want, right?" And she's just like, "Yes, ma'am." She's like shut down like immediately, and it's like, yeah, it's like get wrecked, get shut down. But then the director is still like, I still understand where Ren's sort of coming from, so please, like, try hard, and here's a goal for you to try hard. Like, but she's just like, yeah, like, fuck you, Ren. Basically, fuck you. And yeah, I think the OP is, the OP and EDs, they grow on you as you go along. And I think the Love Live EDs of the shows, they're always better than the OP. And I think here's the case as well. It's just that, like, from Nijigasaki, which had an OP with some, like, neat little visuals, like the girls in suits and stuff. Here in this OP, it's them, like, performing, just doing, like, sort of doing performance with some footage interspliced, some other footage interspliced in their performance. And, like, the performance is good, but the OP is kind of mid, if I'm going to use that word. And the ED, I think, a bit as well, but I think it'll grow on me.
I don't even remember the OP, honestly.
Yeah, the OPs are definitely not as good as the EDs. Like the EDs are great. The OPs are like, yeah, they can be fun, but the EDs are really where it's at, and like this pattern sort of continues here, which is kind of funny how the pattern continues here, the ED being better because the other series also have better ED. It's not intentional, right? But yeah, clearly, like even episode 2, there's like in the original series, the student council president is afraid of the dark, and here there's a scene where Kanon like takes a guess at what Ren's weakness could be, and she guesses that she's afraid of ghosts, and that made me laugh out loud because it's like, given what I've said about the first episode already, like I think it's very deliberate callback to the first series. And it does like these little things just like really make it make what, like if you watch all the previous series, like these little things like make like not a huge difference, but like, well, it depends how hard the show goes on, but like these little references, like they're gold.
Yeah, you're kind of hyping me up it's making me want to watch other Love Live.
Good, because you should. Everyone should have their own opinion on Love Live because yes, I don't care. I don't really care that much if you don't like it or not. I just want you to have watched it. That's what matters to me.
I think there really is a lot to like about this show, even from the first few episodes.
Yeah, I think the first episode of this is a really good like intro to Love Live in general, and then you go back to the others.
I'm hesitant because I don't really know if I can get into an idol show.
But you see, why do you care about the idol part? Why do you care so much?
I really am generic shonen trash. So
well, I'll say this. I'm not much of an idol guy either. I think the whole like idol culture thing is kind of gross and weird. But
I do want to watch Perfect Blue though.
As like an artist, I enjoyed the show so far a lot. That they really make you appreciate like the craft that goes into being an idol. Seeing them like training and like they're working, like dancing is hard, singing is hard, dancing and singing at the same time is really hard.
And they make their own songs, their own choreography. If you want to know more about this topic, if you don't mind spoilers for the live series, you can go watch What the What's video. What is a school idol? It's like his first video. What is the heart of Love Live? Just watch that video and you'll get the gist of it, even if there are a bit of spoilers in there. Anyway, I think we should move on to another show which has performance as a theme, and that's Kageki Shoujo. Matty, what did you think of this show?
I think I like it. I'm not entirely sure, honestly, where I land on it, because I watched the first 2 episodes with my friends, and he was constantly like pointing out that the show is almost like it's too modern, it's too relatable, and like the things it brings up. For what it's worth, I think the show opens with the single most relatable character I've ever seen in anime, because it opens with a guy watching a bunch of well, in this case it's idols, but really just like little Japanese girl singing a song on a train with his AirPods, and he immediately becomes embarrassed by it and tries to hide it, which I have done several times.
Well, yeah, but my hook. Well, that's also because she's right in front of him, so he doesn't know like what to do.
That's true. Yeah. For those who do not know, the show is about a bunch of girls who go to a performance academy. Just think of the drama department of high school, but that is the school. And one of the main characters is a girl who was a former idol, but she is a not very happy camper for reasons that are fairly quickly delved into. And the co-lead is a very happy, very tall girl. And it seems like it's going to be a good old fun romp around town while dealing with some other little baggages along the way. I don't really watch. I think this counts as a shoujo show. I mean, it's in the title, so I don't really like know the pacing or beats of this. But I don't know. What do you think? Do you guys think it like deviates from the norm, or it's going to be pretty standard issue?
You should have watched episode 3. You had to watch episode 3 because episode 3 sort of delves into this baggage more. And yeah, I won't say more.
Oh, I did see episode 3. I didn't know.
Oh, okay.
Get out the initial before getting into it. Yeah, episode 3 took a turn, so it made me think maybe this show is more like Wonder Egg Priority, but better executed, in my opinion.
Interesting. Also, the main character, Ai, is voiced by Hanamori Yumiri, and she voices Miwa in Wonder Egg Priority.
Oh, hey, look at that. Which one's that again?
I don't know. I just know that this character called Miwa in Wonder Egg Priority, so...
Okay.
But yeah, the school is based on like the concept of the school is based on the real life Takarazuka Review, which is an old Japanese theater troupe with just women in it. So that's what you get, the Otokoyaku and Musumeyaku, so the male and female roles that the women play. And it's fun. I think it's cool that the blue-haired girl, is a former idol, because there is a kind of comparison going on, because the other students, like, they kind of look sort of down on her when she's walking to the school, and they're like, now she's going for Koukou, that's so wrong. Like, they sort of look down on her for doing this like idol thing before trying to get into like this more traditional, more fancy, more like elitist profession. And this theme kind of like continues because of like elitism, because no one wants to go under the cherry tree because it's cursed. Like Sarasa, the happy blonde girl, like she can't play as Oscar because she's too tall. She can't. She's also wanted to play kabuki before, but kabuki is guys only. And Sarasa's grandmother's like, you won't be able to play Tsukiroku, which is one of the most important kabuki plays. And from this information, like, I assume because she's a girl, she can't play Oscar, she's too tall. There's this one girl who, one of the girls tells another that if she were a bit taller, she could have been a great otakoyaku, like all these kinds of things. And also sort of both of these professions sort of selling a dreamlike fantasy. They're both selling a dreamlike fantasy, and they're both kind of hell to train for. And yeah, like one's for guys, but then the plays are also for women, and they're very shrewd-eye, and they don't want any fat people, and like
they're harsh.
They're harsh, and like these psychological effects of like both idol like performance and doing this plays, like even just performance in general, like the psychological like effects of like playing to an audience. And I found that really interesting. I think I, being a former idol, really brought this thing out, and it was very interesting to include, especially when like watching Low Life Superstar as well, just like this idol theme, like how different ways you can sort of view idols. I thought that was a particularly like interesting part of it. But of course, well, the interactions are kind of fun. Fun interaction between Ai and Sarasa. For example, there's this scene where Sarasa like keeps texting people, and the camera like the camera sort of like the angle stays the same, but the camera like moves forward as Sarasa and I like keep walking. That was pretty a cool thing. Yeah, and of course the lights. Sarasa stands on the stage and is basked in the light, and these sorts of things to show brilliance. And I clearly loving this brilliance. Like she said, it's funny how she says that she trains herself not to feel anything, but then as soon as she sees like the tree, she kind of owns herself because she immediately feels something. She feels some beauty, and then she sees Sarasa being beautiful in the light, and
she was vibing so hard for that tree.
Yeah,
but the music for that was so good.
The music with that, the piano as it escalates, as like there's this like little dance, like that was really good piano, and I wanted the music to be good for this because the music is composed by Tsuneyoshi Saito, who for me he's notable for he did Denno Coil and Sokyu no Fafner, but what makes it notable for me is that he did the soundtrack to Idol Masters Xenoglossia, which I like. And so when his name was on this, I was expecting the music to be good. And like he absolutely delivers. Also, like the strings, when Sarasa, when she's being unintentionally based, says she wants to play Oscar, and when she stands in the light as well, like the strings that play are really cool. And like in general, I like this sort of theme of like people how they will rise to the top through their performance, kind of like in Love Live as well. Like I just like this sort of theme, and it's present in here. And
I was thinking like at the beginning it almost seemed like it was like structured almost like the stereotypical shonen, like instead of trying to be like the Hokage or like the best of whatever it is, she just wants to be Lady Oscar, who is like one of like the top, I think, just roles at the school. But so far at every beat, we've like skipped all the competition stages. Like we didn't see like how they got into the entrance exams. We didn't really see how they perform in exercises unless it's like for like very specific character beats, like in the third episode where the dance instructor calls one of the girls out for like eating, and then it very quickly just becomes like, oh yeah, this is like a harsh thing. And it's like, so far at least all the competition between the characters is like the quote unquote good characters for right now. I think you said Sarasara, the main character girls, like they don't have like really a sense of competition, and like that's good. Like it's supposed to be, I think, like cooperation and stuff like that. Like the show's, do you know what I'm talking about right now? The show's like not emphasizing a competition aspect, so like cooperation may be the way to go. As long as
it's a little bit competition. Like you get the second years like sort of teasing the first years and like kind of trying to play with them a bit, but
yeah, that's there. I'm just not sure that's supposed to be like presented in like a good light. Like the girl who like Eyes paired up with, she's the worst. I don't.
Yeah,
like
she's
her.
The worst. She just exactly. It's as you say. Like the competition is not portrayed well. Yeah, it's not portrayed in a good light.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that third episode, oh boy, that was something. And explains the stuff in episode 1 and 2, like Ai's attitude to like men and stuff.
Yeah,
like real serious stuff. Go watch the show in episode 3.
I'm not gonna say I enjoyed the scene, but the lighting for it was immaculate.
Which scene are you talking about?
Where she like comes back home, and like sees the dinner and stuff like that. Like right before like the whole like wham moment and stuff like that. When she's like realizing what's going on, like the lighting on her like face and like the animation. For
her face and stuff.
It's like, oh, that's really good.
That was really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we also have a Chad captain speaking nicely. I think it's Norio Wakamoto, but yeah, he was funny.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, this is a good show. And so we are now on the last one, which is a bit.
Did you guys already talk about Duke of Death?
No. Did you watch it?
I did. Wait, if no one else watched it, you can skip.
Well, it's you and Kaki who watched it, but I mean, you can give brief thoughts on it.
I thought it was fine. The premise is interesting. A guy can't touch anything, which is especially torturous because there's this super hot maid that keeps on hitting him, and he can't touch her because if he does, she'll die.
Yeah.
I can't imagine having a super sexy maid and not being able to touch her because she's
maybe the different guest on this podcast.
I'm gonna be completely honest though. You know, it's so funny because the way she kept on like pulling up all her clothes and stuff, the first thing I thought of was, you know, this kind of feels like well, actually, there's quite a few anime that can be described as this, or two in particular. The other one being Kanojo. This anime within the first couple of minutes of the first episode, it felt like the beginning of the plot of some hentai.
Are you thinking of that one show where all the girls show the main character their panties? That one.
No.
Because that's what it sounds like.
I think so. No, there's this like the maid. Like it was so weird because basically the maid, it keeps on tempting the main character, like, you know, she keeps on pulling up her clothes and she keeps on teasing him and stuff. And it was really confusing to me because after a certain point I was like, does she want to die? Like, what's going on here? But then by the end of the first episode, she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna help you, remove the curse, because you know, the guy was cursed by like a witch or something. And because of that, like his parents sent him away to live in some villa by himself with the maid, who also happens to be like a childhood friend or something. Yeah. And also, like, people are scared of him now, including his other childhood friends. I don't know. It seems interesting. I'm curious where it'll go. That's all I have to say about that.
All right, then. So, unfortunately, for the next one, Kaki's left. But, Matty, you can give brief thoughts on what you thought about Getter Robo Arc.
Okay, so Getter Robo Arc is the fifth and supposed to be like the final conclusion to the overall Getter Robo saga, which originally started in like the 1970s, where Ken Ishikawa and Go Nagai collaborated on manga. I hope that's correct. I watched a 2.5-hour video on it to sort of get ready for this, just to learn everything I could about Getter Robo. The show itself doesn't look very good. The animation is kind of janky. It doesn't feel like the character art is consistent. The music is good. The OP and ED are both pretty fun, especially like the first like 15 seconds of the OP. It feels like you're like about to start like a fighting game and stuff like that. It even has like weird like lightning sound effects or something. Let's see, the mech design, it's all CG, whether or not you like it or not. It just feels like it's kind of just like they're just kind of like floaty and there, and the enemies don't look very interesting yet, but I've heard the designs get better. So far it seems like a lot of like the big moments is supposed to be a lot of like referential to past series. So if you're not familiar with Getter Robo, I'm not sure this is the best like hop on point. It definitely like hasn't been for me. But like after going back and watching the videos, like okay, there's like context and stuff like that. I don't know. It's supposed to get into like really weird, almost like cosmic horror themes later on. So that'll be interesting to see maybe. But as of now, it just looks so ugly. I'm not sure I want to keep watching it. And I don't care about the characters at all.
Well,
nice. Sorry, that sounds very bad. There are positives, I think, somewhere in there.
Somewhere. Anyway, we've covered the shows we've watched, but now it's time to think about the best OP. Personally, I'd give this a Peach Boy Riverside. Like the vocals, the voice.
I don't remember any OPs from any of the shows.
The OP is really good. Like her voice, her singing voice is just incredible. It's just great. Has that edge to it. Visuals are pretty fine. Has Mikoto slicing goings up. But I just really like the song, and also highlights like the ragtag team of characters. One thing I've got to mention about Peach Boy Riverside is that when the cannons are fired, it's always like the main character is always like right in front of it. Like Sally almost gets by a cannon, but she just like she barely doesn't get hit by it. That happens again into Hawthorne later on, which I thought was funny. I thought that scene was funny, even though it was very tragic. But yeah, I thought that was funny about it. But yeah, I give this a Peach Boy Riverside. But I also like Vanitas. I like Vanitas as a P. I give it probably second. And yeah, Hello Yes in the Realist Hero P. I like that part the most. Tantei, yeah, neither OP or ED were stuck out to me whatsoever. What were your favorite OPs?
I don't remember any of them.
Yeah.
For me,
And,
I'm gonna say
actually-
Vanitas. Probably for me, I just like how it just goes in real hard, real quick.
Yeah, the glitchy keyboard, I like that a lot.
I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff. It reminds me kind of like the Snail's House sort of stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
As well, and then maybe get a Robo Arc. I guess just of the EDs or openings I've heard would be second place for that one. Just for like the first 15 seconds of it again.
But yeah, Kageki Shoujo OP was also good. But in terms of best ED, I'd give it to Kageki Shoujo, I think. In terms of song, I think the Realist Hero ED, like the song is really good. Like she sings it really well. Like has this nice ring to it. The lyrics are good, but the ED doesn't have that whatsoever. Like barely anything. So I also appreciate how Vanitas ED. Yeah, it's like it's the inverse because usually it's Japanese with English mixed in, but here it's English with Japanese mixed in. But yeah, song, yeah, Realist Hero, but the ED itself, Kageki Shoujo.
Mm-hmm. Overall thoughts on the season?
Well, my favorite pick was someone's in my room. Okay, my favorite of the season was clearly Love Live Superstar. I think second would be Kageki Shoujo Vanitas. But yeah, clearly Love Live Superstar. I mean, if it was just like the second episode, no, but the first episode was like really, I think it was incredible. So that pushes it above all the rest.
For me, it's kind of interesting. The order in which I like stuff is just reverse order of the shows I watch. So it's Love Live, Genjitsu, Shugi, Yuusha, blah blah blah, Bokutachi no remake, Vanitas no Karte, Kanojo mo Kanojo, Tantei wa mo Shindeiru.
There wasn't much that blew me away this season, but I'll probably keep up with Kanojo and Vanitas, and maybe what's the fantasy world with the big boobs called again?
Each Boy Riverside.
I forgot what
The Realist Hero?
Yeah, that one. No, not Realist Hero. Peach Boy Riverside.
Yeah, that was good. Maybe that's my second one as well. Maybe it's Realist Hero. I don't know. Second is a bit difficult to say actually, but yeah, Love Live Superstar is mine.
I'm glad that it got better as I watched on all these shows, because like with those first two, I was just thinking like, God, these are like the top shows. Like, God, this season is going to be trash. But there's actually some good shit.
Well, the general opinion, the general consensus is that this season has been very underwhelming.
Not true for me, but we'll see. Maybe all of them will shit the bed completely, but I don't think that will happen. Any other thoughts? Conclude anything else?
Oh, I was going to say my number one is still Sonny Boy, just because I really like the first episode. So I'm really hoping it doesn't poop the bed on the next few episodes. We're going to have to wait and see. And then the other only one I'll probably keep up with is maybe Kageki Shoujo, and I'll probably just read the summaries for Get a Robo Arc just to see what happens, because I'm now too deep into the story lore. So, decent season, I guess. I got my one show.
All right, then. I guess this wraps it all up, then. Thank you, everyone, for listening to this special episode of The Social Discharge. Remember to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and comment your thoughts on this season and our extraordinary thoughts down below. See you next time. Everyone, say bye. Bye.
I love you.
Bye.
Me too.
Sayonara, Mira-san.